Hi friends, now we will continue with our session. So we'll understand the each and every word in the syllabus. UPSC conducts civil service examination in three levels that we already know: preliminary exam, mains exam, and interview. That is personality test. So we'll understand the syllabus of prelims, and later we'll also understand the mains syllabus. Okay. Okay. So we know that in the preliminary examination we have two papers, that is general studies 1 and general studies 2 paper, correct. General studies 2 is also known as a civil service aptitude test, CSAT. Okay, so first is the current events of national and international importance. Okay, current events of national and international importance. What do you mean by that? National and international. So, which one you consider as a national? For example, something is happening in Madhya Pradesh, a road accident. Okay. So, is that news a national news? So, means it is a local news. And first thing, whether is it relevant for us? That also you need to understand. Correct? Okay. At the national level, in a political party, so there is a conflict among the state level leadership as well as at the national level leadership, or it may be conflict among the national level leadership. So is it required for us? First thing, is it a national news? Yes, it's a national news, but is it required for us for the preparation? No. That means here they are saying that current events of national and international importance means we need to understand. For the party persons that may be important, for a civil servant what is important is, okay, if DRDO finds a medicine for corona, so that is a national news for us, correct. if isro launches if isro launches a satellite, that is a news for us. Okay, the simple way, which one is important for us? One thing you need to understand, as an administrator, definitely you need to understand what is going around you. You need to understand it. So for that point of view, okay, so in your path, so you need to handle different fields, correct. So you must be aware of the things which are happening around you. The best way to handle the current affairs is, so we are going to discuss the detailed syllabus of remaining subjects, right. So whatever points we are discussing there, those points which if they are appearing in the newspaper, means the topics related to that subject appears in the newspaper or any media, then automatically it becomes important. Okay, so we'll understand the remaining subjects. Automatically it covers the important topics for you. Similarly, the international importance, again the same thing. If the climate summit is going on, so obviously it becomes important for us. If any new invention happens in the whole world, so that becomes important. If India engages with Bangladesh, that becomes important, right. Anyway, after understanding whole syllabus, the same points, if they are appearing in the current affairs, okay, current events, then you can study those things. Okay, anyway, with respect to how to read a newspaper, how to study, so that will be a separate session. But for that, what you need to refer for current affairs, what you need to refer? See, first thing is there are multiple newspapers like The Hindu, Indian Express, okay, Live Mint, So another like many other papers are there. Sir, do we need to study all these newspapers? Do we need to study all these newspapers? See, in the beginning, take one, or Hindu or Indian Express. Try to understand. Okay, so once you are able to get the grip over one subject, then you can move to other subjects. Okay, fine. So, and you need to focus upon like news and issue. Okay, so news mostly important from the point of preliminary examination. Issues are important from the point of mains examination. So what do you mean by news and what do you mean by issue? If you see once in a while something appears in the newspaper and it goes away, that is just a news. If the same topic keeps on repeating, okay, for example, when the farmer bill was passed, okay, so every day the pros and cons were discussed in the newspaper continuously for 1 month. Now also we can see those articles. So in such a scenario, okay, those points means that topic will become a issue because it's keep on appearing in the everyday newspaper. Okay, so news, one time it comes, ISRO launched so and so satellite, over. Okay, but ISRO want to spend so and so 10,000 crore for so and so mission. So then the debate starts. Is it required? Can we spend the same thing for on the poor people? Why we need to spend that much? So that becomes a issue now. Got it? So one day, if it comes and goes, so it will be like news. Otherwise, it is issue. Issues are usually important for mains examination. Okay. Anyway, so with respect to current events of national and international importance, the highest weightage can be given in the exam. Means whatever the question paper setter wants to take the questions, whether it may be history, it may be polity, or it may be from environment. Okay, so he will try to pick the question which has appeared in the news. That's why current affairs plays a very important and a crucial role. For example, we know so many topics are there in the Indian constitution and Indian polity. But which topic to be given in the exam? For him, confusion, right? So the easiest way is, so many things are happening and some things will be in news. Maybe like the Rajya Sabha chairman appointment may be in news, or the president election might have happened, or CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, has given some report. So for him, it becomes easy to frame the question, taking from the means framing a question on the CAG, framing a question on the Rajya Sabha. Like that, the questions will be appearing. So don't get like, okay, sir, I have seen most of the questions were from other subject, correct? But what is the inspiration? Inspiration is, that is current events only. Okay. Anyway, we'll move towards the subjects. Fine. History of India and Indian national movement. History of India and Indian national movement. So what it includes? So history of India. What do you mean by history? Right? So when the man started recording the things, okay, when we have the evidence of record, correct, so that we call as a history. Okay, so it may be here history of India, okay, in your main syllabus history of world is also there. Anyway, here history of India. So we can divide history as like ancient India, medieval India, and modern India. So that's what modern India. Here they have clearly mentioned the Indian national movement. Okay. For ancient India and the medieval India. So the demarcation is there. The demarcation. So it is like made by the historians. We cannot say like exactly the from this year, from this date, the medieval India starts. Okay. So here the ancient India, maybe like around 8th 9th century or 10th 11th century, up to that whatever we study is considered as the ancient India. So why that is segregated? That is the question. In Indian context, if you see the earlier civilization, Harappan civilization, even before that also, correct? The Copper Age, Iron Age. So that we will study in detail in the classes. But this is the demarcation line is after this. Mainly we see the invasion of the outsiders. Okay, the whole picture changes. The transition happens in that period. Okay, so we segregate it like ancient India and medieval India. Correct. So here we'll be studying about like Harappan civilization, like Vedic age, and also the kingdoms present in India, who ruled India. It may be Mauryas or it may be Magad or Guptas or it's a Harshavardhana's rule, or in South India, Shatavahanas, Cholas, Chalukyas, correct? Fine. So we'll be studying all those things here. But when it comes to medieval India, mainly we are going to discuss about like Delhi Sultanates, and after that mainly Mughals, Mughal, and in between we are going to study about like the Bhakti movement. I am not telling like exactly whole syllabus of individual subject, but just making you to understand okay what is covered in the ancient India, okay, and what is covered in the medieval India. See, with respect to religion, if you come, the mainly religion of like Jainism, Buddhism, so we are going to study in ancient India, okay. Similarly, the other religions evolved, means one religion is coming to top, another religion going at the bottom. The cycle continues. So that struggle means the people struggle to propagate their own religion. Okay. Anyway, the ancient India and medieval India, and when it comes to modern India, so how actually the demarcation has been put. In case of modern India, when the Europeans entered India, the advent of Europeans, again that is a shift here. Again, that is a shift here. So from that period, so how it is segregated, how it is different from earlier invasions. So here, what they are using is say, we know that how the British entered India for trade purpose. Okay, the nature of invasion, if you say, the nature of invasion is different from the medieval to modern. Okay, so in such scenario, we can means we start counting that as the modern India. Modern, it is about the ideological changes we can see, how they are coming, so how they want to control the nations. Earlier, physically the people were invading India, and now they are trying to control from there only. Okay, that also will study in world history, like colonialism concept, right? So it is different compared to this medieval period. Again, the outsiders are there, but the controlling way is different. So that we'll study in the modern India. Okay, and in our syllabus it is mentioned like Indian national movement. Indian national movement. So what do you mean by national movement? What do you mean by national movement? Okay, we all know that when the British were ruling India, we want to be free from them. Okay, for that purpose, our freedom strugglers. Okay, so they thought of fighting against the British in multiple ways. We have seen that changes in a timeline, like how the earlier freedom fighters were there, how the nature of fighting against the British changed in the course of time. Okay, so the national movement, basically, nation means feeling of oneness. Okay, feeling of oneness. We are all one. Okay, so that feeling is developing among the people of India. Okay, earlier it was not like a nation. India, it was not, word may be mentioned, but it was not like so one nation. For example, in Mysore, the people were saying that we are under Odayars. Like that, somebody was telling like we are under Nizams. So it was like completely small places ruled by the local kings, queens. Fine. But when that feeling started developing, national movement, that we are all one. Okay. So in that feeling, so we can convert like whenever the movements happened. Earlier also small movements happened. Okay. But when the feeling reached the nook and corner of the India, the present India, okay, so that is considered as a national movement. It is not necessary that everywhere the struggle is going on. Even if the people feel like, yes, we need to fight against our common enemy, okay, that feeling of oneness, whatever may be the reason. So, that concept of nation was developed, national movement. So, considering that, we'll study in the modern Indian history the five national movements. That is 1857, the first freedom struggle, Swadeshi movement. This is in 1905, and non-cooperation movement. This is around 1920s, and civil disobedience movement. This is around 1930s, and 1942 Quit India movement. Quit India movement. Okay, so all these things we are going to study. Okay, so how each and everything happened, what was the result of that each movement. See, we cannot say that this is a failure, this is a failure, finally this is successful. Sorry. So each movement is a successful movement. Because of this only, so next level we are in a better position to fight. Because of this only we are in a better position to fight. Correct? The changes in the leadership, the changes in the course of action, the changes in the methods used, everything differs. Everything differs. So we cannot say that that is a failure. A person is trying to break a stone. So when he is putting his first effort, it will not break. But after 10 times, after 20 times, it will break. So can we say that because of only 20th hit, the stone broke apart? No. So it is from the beginning that rock started disintegrating. So finally it broke out. The same way it contributed, that wonderful story of Indian national movement we are going to study in the classes as a part of the syllabus. Okay, so this is the brief idea about the Indian national movement. I mean history syllabus. Basically, we are not going to deal anything inside now. Just how we are going to see, what we are going to study in that. Fine. Okay. Now the question comes, sir, which books we need to study? Right. So please understand one thing. It is not that we need to study 100 books. Okay. We need to study one book 100 times. That gives you the grip. Okay. So history of India, the NCERT books, especially the old NCERT books. Okay. Like ancient India and medieval India, you can refer the old NCERT books. Not even you can new one also, like themes 1, 2, 3 is there for ancient India, medieval India, and modern India. Themes 1, themes 2, themes 3. That also you can study. Okay. But old books like R.S. Sharma and Satish Chandra were the authors for ancient India and medieval India. Okay, so you need to study them. And another option is like Tamil Nadu textbook of 11th and 12th. Sir, old NCRT, the new NCRT themes, and you are saying the Tamil Nadu textbooks. Tamil Nadu textbooks. Okay. Do we need to study everything? It is not necessary. So please get thorough in one book. Like if you are comfortable with NCRTs, then you go ahead with that, or Tamil Nadu textbooks. Not everything. So please don't put so much effort unnecessarily. Okay, sir. What if tomorrow question comes from Tamil Nadu textbook? Don't worry, we will leave it. Why are we going to attend? Means get 200 out of 200? Sorry, this is a competitive exam. We need to be one step ahead than others. Okay, maybe 2 steps, but not 100 steps. That is a unnecessary waste of time. Sir, then should we not read about other books? I am not telling like that. First, get the grip over one book, then you move on towards next book. Because other subjects also need to be studied. Once you finish everything, then you are free to choose. No problem. Okay. So this is about history of India and Indian national movement. Next subject is Indian and world geography. Indian and world geography. So here they are mentioning like physical, that is physical geography, social geography, economic geography of India and the world. India and the world. Okay. So why we need to study that? What is geography? Geo means earth, graphy means study about earth. It is in simple terms. Why we need to study about geography? Okay, the question is same for history also. Why we need to study history? Why we should study history? What is the use? It has already happened, and then why we have to study now? For administrator, how it is beneficial? See, there are multiple things happened in the history. Many things. Okay, we can say thousands of events has happened. From each and everything, we can learn something and adapt in the present scenario. Okay, if you take, for example, the modern cities, don't you think that when you study, you will understand the Harappan civilization, how the city was built? How the city was built, correct? How the closed drainages were there. So now we understood that. So the diseases are spreading, mainly diseases spread through water, correct? So if it is closed, okay, that sanitation, if it is maintained, so how it helps for the health of the society, correct? So do we need to reinvent everything? So we can learn from that. It is not just about a construction. Okay, it is also about how we handle the things when the emergency arises. When two kings are fighting, if one king's army is so big, another king is having less army, but still, how the king having smaller army, okay, small army is able to win over the big army? So what kind of strategy they used? So don't you think that it is required in the present situation? Definitely yes, it is required. Okay, like if you are in a police department and you will be seeing so many issues every day, law and order problems, so crowd will be mobilized in some scenarios. How do you learn? From the history, we can handle the things easily. Okay, it is not like that every time we need to be something different. Every time the crowd mentality is same thing. If we arrest the leaders, automatically the crowd will disappear, because everyone is motivated by that leader. If he himself is not there, automatically the people will lose their direction. Can't we learn this from the history? Right? So many things can be learned. while going you will understand. While going you will understand how people follow leaders. Suddenly if they are not there, what may happen? Best example is Quit India movement. When the leaders, the top leaders like Gandhi were arrested, Gandhi, Nehru, everyone was arrested. So it led to the violence. It led to the violence, no direction. Even though Gandhi said you need to follow the next level leaders, but the Quit India movement become violent movement. So complete course will be changed. So like that, many things we can learn from the history. Similarly, I was asking the question, why we need to study geography? Why is it required? See, there are always experts for your support when you become a officer, correct? But you must be having the preliminary information, preliminary knowledge about everything. Then only you can listen to the expert, then you can understand what he says actually. Let us take an example. You are a district magistrate of a particular district and you found some mineral. Okay. Please understand that at least in the beginning we should be able to appreciate. Then only we can carry it out and give it to the experts. Otherwise what happens, even if they come and say to us, we won't listen to them. So, who found a mineral? You will understand, oh, this is required. This is commercially important. So that you can start mining of those things and get the revenue for the government of India. Correct? It is not just about mineral, I am saying. It may be about water resources. If you know that watershed management, okay, if you are posted to a place where the water scarcity is there, correct? So you will understand what are the different ways to fulfill the needs of those local people, correct? So it is not just one thing. Okay, you need to understand like human geography, what type of occupation they do, what type of environment they are in, so that you can provide them the better opportunity, correct? So understanding the people over there, that is also important. Okay, so here Indian and world geography, they are telling physical geography. What do you mean by physical geography? Correct. It may be like river system, physical geography. Okay. So we all know that how the water bodies are very useful. Correct. In the physical geography, you may be studying about the general features of the, whether it's India or whole world. Correct. How Himalaya is protecting India. How Himalaya is protecting India from the cold waves coming from the north, correct? And how the monsoon is affecting the rainfall in India. Rainfall in India, correct? How the mountains, the Western Ghat is helping to get the rainfall in India. So if you understand that features, correct, the height of that mountains, how actually the rainfall takes place, correct? Or if you understand about the possibility of the cyclone hitting particular coasts, correct? So that you are going to study. Then as a DC, so you are aware that it is a cyclone prone area, how you need to take care of those villages or those places, correct? So we'll understand here how the drainage system, that is a water river system is there in India. How the North Indian rivers and South Indian rivers are different. North Indian rivers are always full. Means because of the ice melting of the Himalayas, we can see the water is continuously available in North India. But in South India it is seasonal, because it is only depending upon the monsoon rain, correct? So considering all those things, the physical geography helps us to understand what are the minerals available in India, where iron is available, where coal is available, where manganese is available. Correct? So different minerals where it is available. Okay. So if we know all these things, so what is available where, how the Indian geography means the surface level is different, means somewhere it is mountain, somewhere it is valley, correct, somewhere it is flat, that is plains of North India. The physical geography talks about like the features of India, means from the earth surface, means if you take to a few meters level above it, okay, so that features studying can be seen in the physical geography, that can be seen in the physical geography. Okay, so why we need to study? So definitely it is helpful. If the river is flowing towards east or towards west, so it helps us to plan for the electricity production. I hope. So the physical geography. Then human geography. Like basically it is talking about what kind of work with respect to geography people will do. Like in the mountains, people may not prefer agriculture, correct? They prefer rearing of the animals. People prefer agriculture in the plains, whereas in the hilly areas, okay, they prefer animal rearing. I'm not telling that agriculture is not done in mountains and animal rearing is not done in plains. Everywhere everything is possible, but which is most feasible, correct? So we'll understand the geography from the human employment point of view. Okay, and economic geography already I think explained. So what is the commercial importance of that geographical area? Because it contains coal. In some other area it is iron. So why can't we make a steel industry there? Correct? So here coal is there, iron is there, I can make a steel industry. Here only coal is there, I can bring the iron from there, I can make steel industry here. Like that, or in some other place, neither coal is there nor iron is there, but still we can make the industry. It may be like another advantages may be there. Anyway, I'm not going to discuss like what are the factors, everything, but trying to make you to understand what subject it is, right? Okay. So it is not only talking about Indian but also of the world. But don't get worried. So do I need to worry about everything? What happens in Africa? No, not like that. So the physical geography, it remains the same. The concept remains the same. Whether you study about the wind system or you study about the water bodies, name may be different, but the concept remains the same. Okay. With respect to India, we are going to study in detail. With respect to world, only concepts we are going to understand. Fine. So, what are the subjects we need to understand? Means books we need to study for this. Correct. That is NCERT books. NCERT books. Okay. See, 6th to 10th always we in general mention. Okay, 6th to 10th, the geography part. And when you are coming to 11th, so that is physical geography. Physical geography. Okay. And there is another book, 11th and 12th books. Okay. Indian geography. Next is human geography. So physical geography book is there, Indian geography book is there, and human geography book is there. Okay. And also people and economy. People and economy. Okay. So please remember this four. Along with this thing, okay. At the last we have tried to give a list of books. Okay. Anyway, so GCL, the book name is Physical Certificate. Physical Certificate. Okay. And the author is GCL, right? So that is enough. That is enough for Indian geography. Okay. Along with this thing, you need to take a map book. Map book. Every day, whatever you see in the news, correct? Something is happening in Syria. So you need to look into it. So where Syria comes, what are the neighboring countries, what is the nearest water body? Okay, so that question may appear. Something comes in the news about Kanha National Park. So you need to see where it comes in the map. So every day you should be having the habit of reading the map. Whenever the new place comes, okay, which is having significance, I am saying, not small places name. Okay, there are two ways. One is you can purchase a map book, that is Orient Black Swan map book. Okay, you can also take Oxford map book, but I prefer Orient Black Swan. But nowadays everyone is using smartphone, so I need not say that. You can easily go through the place, every detail in the net. Okay, and with respect to studying of geography, you need to understand how the mapping should be done. For that, again, a separate class will be there, how the mapping should be done. Here we are restricting ourselves to syllabus discussion, and books need to be studied. So please remember the book names: Physical Geography, Indian Geography, as well as Human Geography, and People and Economy. This People and Economy, it is like, sir, it is a book for economy, correct? It is a book for geography, that is correct. So both sides it will serve the purpose, right? And 6th to 10th, the question comes in the student's mind. Sir, is it okay that I can study only 11th and 12th standard books? Why I have to study 6th to 10th? The thing is, some small details which are given in the 6th standard books are not given in the 11th standard books. The same topic may be there. Same topic may be there. They are studying about the river system there also and here also. But some information is available there which is not there in the 11th standard book. So it is better, and it won't take much time. Okay, it won't take much time to study from 6th to 10th. Got it? Okay, this is about Indian geography subject. Now we'll move towards another subject, that is Indian polity and governance. Indian polity and governance. In that, specifically, the constitution, political system, panchayat raj, okay, public policy, and rights issues. We need to understand. Very important subject. I'm not telling that other subjects are not important, but this one is compulsory, I can say, because it is not just for the exam. Throughout your journey, you are going to carry this subject. You need to use it in your life as a administrator or officer, right? Indian polity and governance. Indian polity and governance. So this subject talks about how the Indian system with respect to administration, Indian administration, how it is carried out, what is the type of system, okay, Indian polity. It is a study about how the administration is done. Okay, governance. Governance. We all know that elected body will be representing us, and the government is running. It is a function. It is basically set up. How it is reaching the people, correct? So what is the machinery? What is the mechanism? Correct? We are going to understand that in the Indian polity and governance in detail. In detail, if you see, like, we need to understand, we need to study. So here it is talking about whole system, Indian polity and governance. It is talking about whole Indian system, how the administrative setup is there, how the administrative machinery is there, how it is delivering its administration to the people. Correct? So in that constitution, very important document, correct, the holy book for us. What is basically constitution? Constitution is nothing but the set of rules and regulations set of rules and regulations for the smooth functioning of the country, which are codified in a form of a book. Okay, in simple words, constitution is basically set of rules and regulation for the minimum coordination among the citizens of India. Like in our home, how we have some set of rules and regulation for our family, correct? So it differs from family to family. That is the constitution of our family. The rules and regulations for family is different from other family. In the same way, India is also having a constitution. Okay, so that we are going to study in detail. Actually, it contains everything with respect to administrative setup also, like how the central government is there, how the state government is there, correct? How the citizens are given with basic rights, like fundamental rights, and some duties assigned to him. What are the duties of the government? What government has to do, what citizen has to do, and what government has to do. Fine. How the central government setup is there, who is the head of our nation, whether is it the prime minister or the president, how the prime minister functions, is it alone he is going to function, or he is having any supporting body for him, correct? In the same way, in the state government we are going to study what is the setup, how the CAG functions, means whenever the government is spending, somebody is going to audit that, somebody is going to question that, correct? How the elections are being conducted, how the corrupt people are being punished, so what is the mechanism mentioned. So all these things we are going to study in the constitution. Okay, and the political system already explained. So we are having the central government and state government, but how that government is running, what is the political system, whether we are having two party or multi-party, right? So what are the challenges in that? So that we will study. Panchayat Raj, similar to the union government and state government, we are having the separate administration at the local level, which was the vision of Gandhi, correct? So that is Panchayat Raj system. That is local bodies. We need to understand how they are functioning. How we have head, like in the national level as the PM, at the state level we have CM, or like the president or governor, how the local bodies are different, how they are functioning. So that we need to study. In the public policy, without a broader framework, we cannot function, we cannot work. So if we need to achieve the 33% of the forest in India, then only it is possible to work towards it. As of now, we are having 23 to 24% area as forest in India, but ultimate goal is achieving 33%. Without having that broader framework, that we are going to study in public policy. Without having that broader framework, we cannot put like afforestation program, roadside planting of trees. So when we have the agenda, when we have broader framework, then we can put smaller goals through different schemes, correct? So like this, we are going to study all these aspects in the beautiful subject, that is Indian polity and governance. For this you need to study, okay, Indian Polity by Lakshmikant. Indian Polity by Lakshmikant. Okay. And the NCERT, Indian Constitution Network, 12th standard, right? Okay. And what about other books, sir? See, first one thing you understand. So Indian Constitution Network gives you the basics of that subject, and Lakshmikant gives you, it is a basically commentary, means it will discuss each and every aspect in all the books in a detailed manner. Okay, detailed manner. So if you are if you are attending the classes, then you better listen to the classes than you study Lakshmikant, or you are studying alone means Lakshmikant and the Constitution at Work. And there are other books like Our Constitution by Subhash Kashyap and Our Parliament by Subhash Kashyap. Okay, so that those books will give you a grip over the subject. Okay, but these two books first you keep it in your priority, and whenever you get time, please study those books by Subhash Kashyap. And after that, one more book I am going to tell you. Okay, that is the Indian Constitution by P.M. Bakshi. How to use this book? P.M. Bakshi use this book like a dictionary. P.M. Bakshi book, you have to use it like a dictionary. Okay, so that is, for example, you are getting a doubt. How you use the dictionary? You don't know the meaning of a word, so you will go in the W and you will search the word. Same way, in the Indian Constitution, if you get doubt, you will go to article number 101. Correct? Article number 32. You will go to that 32 page. It is mentioned in the top, so it is easy to understand that. Always, please read the original articles. Even though you might have studied the concepts in Lakshmikant, please, whenever you get doubt, don't refer other books. Go to P.M. Bakshi and open that, and you see what actually original article says. Got it? Okay. So anyway, that is about Indian polity and governance. So the Constitution at Work and Lakshmikant. And next level, you can use P.M. Bakshi like a dictionary, and Our Constitution and Our Parliament by Subhash Kashyap. Okay, fine. Next subject in the preliminary examination is economy. Economy and social development. Here it is mentioned sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographic, social sector, initiatives, etc. What is basically economy is? First, it is a study of what? Why we need to study economy? First, we'll understand what is economy. See, we don't have unlimited resources, right? We don't have unlimited resources. If unlimited resources are there, then nobody would have worried. Correct? Nobody would have been worried. For example, I want gold. Unlimited gold is available. So he is going to worry. Everyone will pick whatever he wants. I want food, quality food. So everything is available in plenty. The problem is resources are lacking. Because of that, we need to study how to use the available resources in an optimal way. How to use the resources in an optimal way, best way. We have 100 rupees, how to spend it in a better manner. Correct? So that is the economy. Why administrator need to study economy? Because each taxpayer money, one rupee is very important for the government. If I am able to spend 1 rupee less, that's a contribution to the government. That is respecting the people's money. We need to understand within less amount of resources how to achieve the bigger thing. Correct? So we need to study economy. Economic and social development. Yes. What is the plan? So we need to increase the resources. Correct? So for that purpose, we have to talk about development. You might have heard the word growth. Correct? So our body also grows. A plant grows. So physically we can monitor it. Yes, it has grown. Correct? The quantity can be seen easily. Easily it can be measured. So that is growth. But development is not just about growth. We cannot see it. For example, a family's income might have increased like tenfold. But that may not reflect in. Okay? So it may not reflect in like health of the family. Correct? Health is very important. In education, if they are not spending on the education or health, okay, that's of no use. But another family may be there. It may be like compared to these people spending, not spending that much, okay, looks poor, but that family is highly educated and they are very much healthy. So, which family you prefer? Obviously, that family which is focusing on the longer goals. If the health is good and education is there, so they can create the wealth easily, correct? So anyway, that development, we'll be discussing that anyway. So here they are talking about sustainable development. Sustainable development. See, we have water. We know that in our locality, for example, okay, a tank of water lasts for 3 days. Assume that every 7 days once they will supply the water. So, can you or are you going to spend all the water in a first day and remaining days you'll struggle? No, right? We'll properly plan how to use the water every day, where to conserve the water. In the same way, we are having lot of resources on the earth, but without compromising our future generation, we need to use it now. What we are doing, we are taking everything now, like digging all the minerals, taking out everything. So we are taking their resources, the future generation resources we are using. That should not happen, right? So development is good, but it should not compromise our future generations resources. It is their money, it is their resources. So we should focus upon the sustainable development without compromising the future generations. Okay, poverty. Poverty. So the definition of poverty is not that easy. Somebody says that, okay, like I'm having food, shelter and house, I'm happy. But for someone, he is having much more than him, but he still says that I'm poor. It's a relative concept. But as a government, we'll be focusing upon what is required for them. Okay, live a dignified life. Okay, so poverty is a relative concept. But at least what we should be worrying is the providing quality food, quality shelter for him, right? The clothes for him, education for him, the basic necessities. If it is fulfilled or somebody is not getting that, then we call that as the BP, that is below poverty line. That line varies from person to person, from country to country, but the ultimate aim of the government is to alleviate that poverty, remove that poverty, correct? So without economy it is impossible. Inclusion, include everyone. Why only one section of the family, one section of the society? Only few are becoming rich and richer. They are getting opportunity, they are opening businesses, they are getting all the employment opportunities. Why not others? Everyone should be included in the nation, from the nook and corner, okay, from villages, from urban centers, from different sections of the society, belonging to different caste, correct? Whether rich or poor, everyone should be part of all the benefits which are given by the government. That is inclusion. Okay, demographics, very, very important. Being the second largest populated country in the world, we are having huge population. Is it a burden or is it a benefit? Correct? If we use the population for a right purpose, in the right direction, correct? So then that will be the asset for us. The human resource are the biggest asset, correct? A teacher can contribute a lot. A doctor can contribute a lot, correct? If we use the population in the right direction, we can reap the dividends out of it, correct? We can get the benefit out of it. That is the demographics. How it can contribute, that we'll study. And social sector initiatives, yes, we know that how the employment guarantee jobs, how the food, Poshan Abhiyan, the food supplement programs, correct? So all the social sector initiatives are important. So that we are going to study in the economy. What books to be studied, sir? Okay. First thing is, in the 11th and 12th, microeconomics and macroeconomics. So what this microeconomics deals with? As a smaller unit, about our own family, about another family. So smaller unit, or about an individual. If all families collectively studied, then it can become macro, broader level. If you are studying about only India in the whole world, then it is a microeconomy. Correct? But if you are studying all the states together in India as a whole, then it will become a macroeconomy. If you are studying about one family, it is a microeconomy. If you are studying all the families in the society, that becomes a macroeconomy. That is a simple thing we can understand. Anyway, this microeconomics, it is not required to study everything. Okay, so and don't worry about the technical jargons over there. Too much technicality is available, but ignore that part, but understand the concepts. Understand the important concepts in that. Especially only first one or two chapters are important. Remaining that is not that much important. But in macroeconomy, yes, you need to study this book completely. Very, very important book. So you can expect 5 questions from this macroeconomics. And like this in the macroeconomics, you are going to study about inflation, you are going to study about the government budget, you are going to study about balance of payments, correct, about GDP, that is national income. And next is Indian economic development book, that is also of the 11th standard. And people and economy, already I have mentioned. So these four books are important. Apart from that, you can study Indian economy by Ramesh Singh, or you can also go for other standard books, okay, like Datta and Sundaram and other books, or Sanjeev, another book is there. But I prefer like Ramesh Singh. You can study that. Anyway, from the current affairs, there is a lot to be studied in the economy. Whatever the new term comes, whatever the new things comes regarding the economy, that we are going to study in the current affairs. But these are the basic books required for economy. Okay. So next we will study about subject, that is environment. General issues on environment, ecology, biodiversity, climate change that do not require subject specialization. Okay. Environment is a very, very hot topic, important topic, because we all know that how the environment the basic environment what we are having now, it is being degraded. We are seeing extreme hotness, extreme coldness, correct? So many species are getting they are disappearing. Fine. This general issues on environment, they are mainly focusing. Correct? So, environmental ecology, how the human being is interacting with the nature. Correct? We are going to study how he is going to interact with the living things, non-living things, how it is affecting our surroundings. Okay? So, biodiversity, very, very important. It is not that only one species can rule whole earth. If all species are there, then only we can survive. You might have listened, you might have heard, you might have studied in our before 10th classes, correct? That is, a species, for example, herbivorous, carnivorous, a species depends upon another species for its food. Yes, it depends upon other species, right? So, and the carnivorous eats the other animal. So, it is like a chain linked. If one species is extinct, definitely it will disturb the food chain. It will hurt us, correct? So, the biodiversity, the vastness with respect to species richness, the different types of species of plants, animals, everything is necessary for the smooth functioning of the environment. So, that we need to study biodiversity. Because the issues of extinction of the loss in the Western Ghats, the loss in the Himalayas, how it is affecting us, correct? Climate change. Sir, we know that since from the ice age, the climate is being changed, correct? But after industrial revolution, when the man started producing the things in the factories, he started contributing lot of carbon dioxide. The intensity, the proportion of the carbon dioxide compared to the earlier days has changed significantly. See, if it is going in a smooth manner, no problem. But because of the human effort, because of the human industrial revolution, so the earth is more hotter than earlier. If it crosses 1.5 to 2 degree, it becomes disastrous for us, the climate change. The mountains will melt and the ice level will it will increase the water level. It will submerge the lower level countries, that is island nations will be merged, which will create pressure on the whole world, correct? The hot temperature is creating problem. It will have impact on agriculture, so it will have impact on directly food. So food scarcity may happen, water scarcity may happen. So there are multiple things due to the climate change. Okay, so we are going to study the basics of environmental ecology, the biodiversity and the climate change. What are the topics, means books we need to study for this? Books. So basic books like CBSE, I think 9th and 10th you can study environmental science. Okay, environmental science, CBSE 9th and 10th. And 12th NCERT, last only 4 chapters in the biology book, last 4 chapters. Apart from that, you need to study the environment book by Shankar IAS Academy, environmental book. Okay, it's available in the market, that you can study. Okay, so this is about environment. Fine. Now another subject is general science. General science. See, in this subject, general science, we all know that. Okay, so the subject which is having evidence for everything, and our constitution also talks about develop the scientific temper. Okay, so this general science, we can segregate it like physics, chemistry and biology. Okay, so from 6th to 10th, whatever you have studied science, that you study, that's enough. Okay, like in the subject physics, the main topics like light you are going to study, gravity you are going to study, fine, friction you are going to study. So 6th to 10th, whatever you have studied, that is enough. Chemistry, the same thing, the basic reactions, correct, the chemical compounds, how it impacts, correct. And the biology, the study about the organism, it may be plant or it may be animal, how the each body, especially focus on the human body. Okay, human body and the diseases, here you need to focus more on that. So you can focus more on biology, you can focus more on physics. First priority is biology, second is physics, and to some extent you need to understand the chemistry basic concepts. Okay, for example, in the chemistry, if how the rock disintegrates, when you are studying that, the hydrolysis, how the reaction of the salt and water happens, like that, correct. So basic understanding, how soap can remove the dirt in the cloth, so that is about basic chemistry. And how a satellite revolves around earth, that is a concept in physics. How the gravity acts in a different places, that is about physics. Okay, why the ice melts on the water, correct, that's about physics. And you give most importance to biology, you need to understand the problems. For example, how a virus can create a problem. You might have studied COVID, coronavirus. What is the difference between virus and a bacteria, how they are different? Can we develop vaccines for them, medicines for them? So many problems are there. Okay, so many problems are there, diseases are there, the burden of diseases on the economy. So all these things in the general science mostly you focus upon the current affairs. Basics are required, but compared to other subject, here you need to focus more on current affairs after studying to some extent the basics. Okay, the books already I mentioned. One is 6 to 10th enough. Nothing is required more than that, and the current affairs is the key for your success. Got it? So this is about the brief understanding about the different subjects need to be under preliminary GS1. GS1. Okay, so what we have to understand is general studies paper 1 consists of these 6 subjects mainly: history, geography, polity, economy, environment, and general science. And the bigger one is the current affairs of national and international importance. Automatically all these topics will be covered in the current affairs, correct? And after this general science we discussed, we need to understand one more subject, that is art and culture. Art and culture. See, this subject is separately not mentioned in the syllabus, correct? But history is mentioned, right? History of India and Indian national movement. See, art and culture is nothing but, okay, so it includes like architecture, how the temples are constructed, how the masjids are constructed, correct? How the sculptures are there, right? Like the dome structure of the temple, means masjid, the gopura style of the temples. So all these basics we are going to study in this art and culture. Definitely it is part of ancient India and medieval India. In the ancient India we are going to study about the temple structures, and in the medieval India we are going to study about the masjid structure, Gol Gumbad, double dome, correct? So it is not like separate subject, but from 2014 onwards, when the ancient India and medieval India questions were almost 32, we started treating this as a separate subject. Okay, even though not mentioned separately, we are going to study this under a separate heading, the art and culture, which includes like architecture, sculptures, drama, dance, music, literature. So this we are segregating from the same subject, history, and we are considering this as a separate subject. I hope you understand. It's an interesting subject, okay, and you need to study for this purpose Nitin Singhania. Nitin Singhania. Okay, so the Nitin Singhania book, who is a 2013 rank holder, it's a good book. But the standard book what you can refer is like I Wonder That Was India. I Wonder That Was India. So it also helps you for your interview preparation. Apart from that, so you can go for CCRT website, where everything is given in a simple, plain manner, very simple language. So you can understand the subject very easily, right? Okay, CCRT website, right? Fine. So till now we have understood the subjects what to be studied in the preliminary general studies 1 paper in detail. Okay, please understand one thing: study one book 100 times rather than studying multiple books. Wherever you study, the concept is same. You may miss something in one book, but don't try to feel like I am missing so many things. So it's always there. Nothing will be complete, and we don't want like 100 questions to be answered. Okay, with respect to how to answer and all, we'll have separate session, but this we are restricting with respect to syllabus. Please understand one thing: if you are studying some book, okay, so please understand them in a depth, especially NCERT books. Don't be in a hurry to move towards another book. It's always human tendency. When I am studying something, move towards other subject. When I am studying that subject, I'll feel like I'll have to study this subject. So follow the books, the prescribed books, standard books. If you get doubt, always call us and ask us. Okay, don't hesitate. Okay, so you may be our student or not, that is different, but don't hesitate to ask, because without understanding what to be studied and what not to be studied, if you are spending most of your time on some book, if it is not going to give results, it is complete waste of time and effort. Okay, so now we will move towards understanding the General Studies 2 paper of the prelims. Okay, that is CSAT, Civil Service Aptitude Test. Take a break and we'll continue the paper 2 in the next session. Okay, thank you.